Have you ever met someone where the attraction was obvious, the chemistry was obvious, and yet the relationship never seemed to move in a straight line? One person moves closer, the other pulls away, then the roles reverse. Neither person can fully let go, but neither person seems able to find solid ground either. That's the essence of a push pull connection. And while any zodiac sign can experience this dynamic, there are certain pairings that seem especially likely to bring it out in Scorpio. And often that's exactly what creates the attraction in the first place. So let's talk about five Scorpio pairings that can leave both people fascinated, challenged, frustrated, and sometimes unable to fully walk away. The first pairing is Scorpio and Taurus. If you've spent any time around astrology, you've probably heard that Scorpio and Taurus are opposite signs. And while opposites can create incredible attraction, they can also create some of the strongest push pull dynamics. What makes this pairing so interesting is that Scorpio and Taurus are actually looking for many of the same things. Both value loyalty, both value trust, both want something real. Both can be incredibly devoted once they commit. The difference is in how they go about achieving those things. Scorpio tends to embrace change, transformation, and emotional depth. Taurus tends to seek stability, consistency, and security. Scorpio wants to dig beneath the surface. Taurus often prefers to keep both feet planted firmly on the ground. This can create a fascinating dynamic where each person sees something in the other that they admire, but also something that challenges them. The push pull often begins when neither person wants to be the one who gives ground. Scorpio may push for deeper emotional access. Taurus may resist being rushed. Taurus may become entrenched in a position. Scorpio may become determined to uncover what's really going on beneath the surface. And because both signs can be incredibly stubborn, disagreements can turn into stalemates. Neither wants to lose. Neither wants to be controlled. Neither wants to be the first one to blink. What's interesting is that the attraction often remains strong even during periods of distance. This isn't usually a pairing where people lose interest because they don't care. It's often a pairing where both people care, but their approaches create friction. And the lesson here is often learning that trust cannot be forced and vulnerability cannot be demanded. The more these two try to move each other, the more resistance they tend to encounter. But when they learn to respect each other's pace, this can become one of the most loyal and enduring connections in the zodiac. The second pairing is Scorpio and Gemini. If Scorpio and Taurus struggle because neither person wants to move, Scorpio and Gemini often struggle because one person keeps moving. This pairing tends to create a very different kind of push-pull dynamic. Scorpio is often searching for depth, consistency, and a sense of emotional certainty. Gemini is naturally curious, adaptable, and open to possibilities. Neither approach is inherently better than the other, but they can create friction when two people are trying to connect. One of the reasons these two become fascinated with each other is because they each possess something the other lacks. Um, Gemini often introduces Scorpio to new perspectives, new ideas, and new ways of looking at the world. Scorpio offers Gemini depth, focus, and emotional intensity. The attraction can be immediate because both signs stimulate one another in ways they don't experience every day. But the push pull often begins when Scorpio starts looking for answers. Scorpio wants to know where they stand. They want consistency between words and actions. They want to understand what's happening beneath the surface. Gemini, on the other hand, may not even have a fixed answer yet. Gemini is a sign that likes to explore. They may change their mind. They may need space to think. They may approach relationships with more flexibility than Scorpio is comfortable with. And this can leave Scorpio feeling as though they're trying to grasp something that keeps changing shape. The more Scorpio seeks certainty, the more Gemini may feel pressured. The more Gemini pulls back to regain a sense of freedom, the more Scorpio becomes curious about what's happening. The third pairing is Scorpio and Aquarius. This is one of the most fascinating push pull dynamics in the zodiac because both signs can appear distant, but for very different reasons. Scorpio tends to protect their emotions until trust has been established. Aquarius tends to protect their independence regardless of how much they care. From the outside, these two can seem completely different, but beneath the surface, they actually share more similarities than people realize. Both are highly perceptive, both are observant, both can be surprisingly private, and both tend to resist being controlled. That's part of what creates the attraction. Scorpio sees someone who cannot easily be influenced. Aquarius sees someone who isn't afraid of emotional depth. There's often a sense of mutual respect from the beginning. The challenge is that they approach intimacy very differently. Scorpio often wants to deepen the connection by increasing emotional access. The closer they feel to someone, the more they want to understand them. Aquarius often deepens a connection by maintaining authenticity and individuality. The closer they feel to someone, the more important it becomes that they remain true to themselves. Neither approach is wrong. The problem is that each sign may interpret the other's behavior through their own lens. Scorpio may view Aquarius's need for space as emotional distance. Aquarius may view Scorpio's desire for closeness as pressure. And because both signs are fixed signs, neither is particularly eager to change their approach. This is where the push pull dynamic often develops. Scorpio wants greater access. Aquarius wants greater freedom. Scorpio pulls closer. Aquarius pulls back. Aquarius returns. Scorpio wants to understand what happened, and the cycle continues. What's particularly powerful about this pairing is that neither person is easy to forget. Scorpio is rarely satisfied with surface level answers. Aquarius rarely behaves in predictable ways. As a result, both people can leave a lasting impression on one another long after the relationship itself has changed. The lesson here is often learning that intimacy and independence do not have to be opposites. The more Scorpio tries to possess Aquarius, the more resistance they may encounter. The more Aquarius avoids vulnerability altogether, the more disconnected the relationship becomes. But when both learn to respect what the other values, this can become a connection built on both depth and freedom. The fourth pairing is Scorpio and Sagittarius. This pairing often begins with excitement. There's an energy here that feels alive, spontaneous, and full of possibility. Scorpio is often intrigued by Sagittarius's confidence, honesty, and adventurous spirit. Sagittarius is often drawn to Scorpio's depth, intensity, and magnetic presence. At first, each person may feel like they've discovered something missing in themselves. Scorpio offers depth, Sagittarius offers expansion. Scorpio brings focus, Sagittarius brings perspective. The attraction can be powerful because each sign opens a door the other doesn't naturally walk through on their own. But this is also where the push pull dynamic begins. Scorpio tends to bond through depth. When something matters, Scorpio wants to explore it fully. Sagittarius tends to bond through experience. When something matters, Sagittarius wants room for it to grow naturally. Scorpio may want answers. Sagittarius may want possibilities. Scorpio may want commitment. Sagittarius may want freedom. And because both signs are passionate in their own ways, neither is likely to approach the connection halfway. The challenge is that Scorpio can sometimes interpret Sagittarius's need for freedom as a lack of investment. Meanwhile, Sagittarius can interpret Scorpio's desire for closeness as restriction. Neither person is necessarily trying to hurt the other. They're simply operating from different assumptions about what love should look like. This creates a push pull dynamic where Scorpio moves toward greater emotional depth while Sagittarius moves toward greater freedom. The more one pulls, the more the other may instinctively resist. What's interesting is that this pairing often leaves a strong impression on both people. Scorpio may admire Sagittarius's ability to keep moving forward. Sagittarius may admire Scorpio's willingness to dive deeply into life's emotional experiences. Even when the relationship struggles, there is often mutual respect for qualities each person possesses. The lesson here is often learning that commitment and freedom do not have to be enemies. Healthy relationships require both. The challenge for Scorpio and Sagittarius is learning where one person's need for security ends and the other person's need for freedom begins. The fifth pairing is Scorpio and Leo. Of all the pairings on this list, this may be one of the most emotionally dramatic. Not because either sign lacks feelings, but because both signs often have a tremendous amount of pride. Scorpio and Leo are powerful signs in very different ways. Leo tends to shine outwardly. Scorpio tends to operate beneath the surface. Leo wants to be appreciated. Scorpio wants to be understood. Leo leads with warmth. Scorpio leads with intensity. And yet, despite these differences, there is often a strong attraction between them. Both signs are loyal, both are passionate, both value authenticity, and both want to feel significant in the eyes of the people they care about. That's part of what makes this pairing so magnetic. When things are good, these two can make each other feel deeply seen, valued, and admired. But when problems arise, the push pull dynamic can emerge quickly. Neither sign enjoys feeling vulnerable without trust. Neither sign enjoys feeling rejected. And neither sign is particularly eager to hand the other person all of their power. As a result, conflicts can turn into silent standoffs. Leo may wait for Scorpio to make the first move. Scorpio may wait for Leo to show sincerity. Both people care. Both people are affected, yet neither wants to appear as though they need the other more. This can create a cycle where pride begins speaking louder than vulnerability. Instead of expressing what they're feeling, both people begin protecting themselves. Instead of moving closer, they wait. Instead of clarifying, they assume. And because both signs feel things more deeply than they often admit, the emotional impact can linger much longer than either person expects. Closing. Each of these pairings creates a different version of the same challenge. In every push pull connection, there is usually something that draws two people together and something that keeps creating friction. Scorpio is rarely transformed by relationships that feel completely predictable. Many of Scorpio's most significant connections involve encountering a quality they don't naturally possess themselves, something that challenges them, that frustrates them, that forces them to grow. That doesn't mean every push-pull connection is healthy. Sometimes two people simply want different things. Sometimes the timing is wrong. And sometimes a relationship becomes more about the chase than the actual connection. But not all push-pull dynamics are destined to fail. In some cases, they're simply highlighting an area where both people are being asked to evolve. The question isn't whether attraction exists. In most of these pairings, attraction is rarely the problem. The real question is whether two people can learn to work with their differences instead of fighting against them.